Fiona Willan, 9 News.
Tonight was Treasurer Josh Frydenberg's fourth budget, and the polls say it could well be his last. He sat down with our political editor, Chris Uhlmann.
Josh Frydenberg, when will people see the cost of fuel fall?
Chris, we're delivering cost of living relief now with a cut of 50% to the excise rate, worth more than 22 cents a litre. That will start to flow through over the next couple of weeks. It's a substantial relief for Australian families who are paying high fuel prices.
How can you be sure that retailers won't just pocket the difference?
Well, the ACCC have put out a statement that made very clear that they will be the cop on the beat and that they will be coming down hard on any retailers that engage in misleading and deceptive conduct, with contraventions being up to $10 million in fines.
What happens if the price of fuel just bounces up? We've seen it bounce up by 10 cents, by 20 cents, and it just eats up what you've given away.
Well, it would be more than 22 cents a litre higher, but for the decision that we've taken. So we have actually taken a concrete step to reduce fuel prices for millions of Australian motorists.
When will pensioners get their $250 cash payments?
That will happen in a matter of weeks. It will be automatically done through the social services system. Around 6 million Australians, pensioners, veterans, carers, others on income support like concession card holders will get this $250 bonus payment. It comes on top of the indexation arrangements that have already taken place as a result of the higher inflation that we see.
And if I'm on less than $126,000 a year, there's a tax offset that you're giving, that comes at tax time.
That's $420, and it builds on what we had announced in last year's budget. So if you're earning up to $126,000, you could see up to $1,500 in your wallet, in your bank account, when you put your tax return in from the 1st of July onwards.
And you're also trying to encourage businesses to hire more people, to train more people?
There's a good package of measures in tonight's budget for small businesses, two in particular of note. The first is we're providing an extra deduction for the taxes for small businesses when they hire people that they want to train more with upgrading their skilling, as well as when they purchase new technology. So if they want to buy e-invoicing software, cybersecurity software, web design or new computers, they can get a bonus 20% tax deduction.
Now, you've got about $30 billion of a windfall this year in more tax receipts, but you're spending $17 billion of it. What do you say to people who say you are simply trying to buy votes?
Well, actually, we're banking the dividend of this stronger economy. So of the 150...
You're banking part of it?
Well, banking the vast majority of that, actually, over the forward estimates over the 4-year period. And what we've seen is around 3/4 of the improvement through receipts and revenue is a result of a stronger labour market. So more people in work and therefore fewer people in welfare. We've had to take decisions to increase funding for the COVID response. That's of course required. This cost of living relief that will come at a very important time for Australian families. And then we're investing in this budget in our long-term economic plan to create more jobs with further investments in infrastructure, in skills, in the digital economy.
But just on those cost of living measures, you're pouring essentially $8.5 billion into the economy by the middle of the year. It's already running hot. Won't that drive up inflation?
So $3 billion of that is for the cut in the fuel excise, and Treasury actually say that that would put downward pressure on inflation. So that will reduce inflation by about 1/4 percentage point. But when you consider the size of the Australian economy, putting all these measures together is less than 0.5% of GDP. And the good news for the economy is that more people are finding work, the unemployment rate's coming down, and we're actually leading the world with our economic recovery.
Inflation running though at 4.5%, costs are on the rise. You're not concerned that you're walking too fine a line here?
It's always a balancing act when it comes to budgets. Providing that cost of living relief to Australian families, hearing their concerns and acting on it. That's what we've done. But at the same time putting in place a long-term economic plan for the future to create more jobs, while also seeing material improvements in the budget bottom line. We're actually seeing the deficits more than halve over the next few years, and we're seeing debt peak earlier and lower than what was originally forecast. That's a good sign for the economy.
But it does peak at $1 trillion, and when I look at your deficits, you've got a 10-year forecast which doesn't see you hitting surplus at any time in that time. So that's not great, is it?
Well, Chris, actually we do see a material improvement to the bottom line on what was forecast just months ago. But no one is hiding from the fact that COVID was the biggest economic shock since the Great Depression. Your viewers will remember the images of millions of Australians having either lost their job, seen their working hours reduced to zero, lining up outside Centrelink with fear right across the economy. We responded with programs like JobKeeper, Cash Flow Boost, which saved the economy. And now we're at the point where the unemployment rate is going to reach a 50-year low.
So is there not a concern, though, about what happens in the future? Some treasurer at some stage has two choices. They either cut services or they raise taxes. That's inevitable, isn't it?
Well, what we're focusing on is growing the economy, and we're banking that dividend, which is seeing more people in work, fewer people in welfare, therefore less expenditure on welfare payments, more receipts coming in through the tax system. That's how we improve our budget bottom line.
You once said you'd improve the budget bottom line when unemployment got under 6%, now crashing through 4%. At what point is a good point to fix the budget? After the election, obviously.
Well, I'll say it again. What you see in the budget tonight is a material improvement to the budget bottom line. We've banked the vast majority of those revenue upgrades, but of course we've been required to spend in the areas of health, responding to COVID, while also putting in place infrastructure spending, skills spending, supporting small businesses, helping businesses adapt to the digital economy, all of which are important for our economic growth.
And clearly when you look at the budget papers, given where we came from, you've got a good story to tell. Why is it the government can't tell it? Why is it you are lagging in the polls when the economy has bounced back, we have one of the most highly vaccinated populations on earth, and more people have been employed than ever before? What's wrong with the government?
Well, Chris, you've been around a long time, and you know there's only one poll that counts, and that's on election day. And there were plenty of people who wrote us off last time ahead of the 2019 election. What I do know is tonight's budget details a long-term economic plan to create more jobs across the economy, to guarantee the essential services that people rely on, to invest more in defence and national security, and to provide that cost of living relief now.
And it is undoubtedly aimed at trying to win votes at the next election. Clearly, the cash splash.
It's aimed at delivering for Australian families, small businesses, seniors, creating a stronger economy and a stronger future.
One of the problems that for the government, it seems to be, is personality based. It's Scott Morrison. Would perhaps you have a better chance if you were leading the coalition to the next election?
You are very cheeky indeed this late in the evening. Scott Morrison has done an outstanding job leading this country through a very difficult time. The single largest economic shock since the Great Depression. My focus, Chris, has been on delivering a budget. Tonight, the Australian people will see that.
Okay, so but you have children, and you once talked about the compact between generations.
Yes.
Are you happy with the legacy that you're leaving them?
Well, certainly I'm not about to leave them or finish my job here. I've got a lot of work still to do, but I tell you what I'm proudest of over the course of the last 2 years is that Australia has avoided the experience of the 1980s and 1990s when we had recessions and unemployment was elevated for a long period of time. The biggest issue now for employers is actually finding more staff. So Australians are in work, and there is dignity in work. And for Australia to help lead the world with our economic recovery is something I'm very proud of.
Josh Frydenberg, thank you.
Thank you.
Jim